Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Investing Bros Show. And in today's video, we're going to continue to dive into the details of what's happening in this crazy crypto market right now. Yes, as soon as you think you have the price direction figured out to the upside, it reverses to the downside. And then right as you commit to waiting for a much lower price to come in, the price starts to rally again. Are we in a bear trap at the moment, or are we continuing to see downside? There's a good word for this right now that's confusing everybody. It's called market manipulation. And that is something we're going to talk about today and address to make sure you understand what to expect over the next little bit. Make sure, though, before we get in there, if you're on YouTube, smash that like, hit subscribe. If you're on X, hit the like and hit the follow. But first, we've got to roll the intro. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts and address what is going on here. What you need to know, that we got a great buy signal back here on September 6th. This was awesome. We talked about it on the Investing Bros live show. That's why you got to make sure you're subscribed, watching every single thing we put out. And it has been amazing so far. But the target for this buy signal was sitting actually closer towards $62,000 to $64,000. And you can see back here around the 12th, 13th area, we only got up to about 60,700. Then here over the weekend, back on Sunday, we experienced some major FUD in the space that has dropped the price back down. Now, it's kind of crazy. If you were to go back and look over here, clearly, we're talking about a buy signal back around $52,500. The biggest FUD right now only brought price back down towards 57. So you might say in hindsight, man, Tim, this really isn't that big of a deal. In which case I'd say you're absolutely right. This is what we would call a higher low here on Bitcoin. But it has caused several people since Sunday to freak out and wonder, do we see a lot lower prices coming? Well, the question is why? Why are people questioning this right now? Why are people all over the place? And the biggest answer for you is a lot of what we call FUD. What am I talking about? Let's go take a look at some details here. Bitcoin slips to 58K amid split Fed rate cut expectations. Well, if you've been living under a rock, you might be saying, what the heck are you talking about, Tim? What do you mean Fed rate cut expectations? Well, the news is out. We're going to get Fed rate cuts for the first time in several years. But the question is, what will this look like? And will it be beneficial for the markets, or will it be harmful? The ultimate way to think about this is that a 25 basis point cut, a very modest cut, communicates to the people a soft landing. The economy is doing okay. We're going to be able to go back into a phase where we make the economy grow, but we're not doing it aggressively. Everyone should make some money, right? That's what 25 basis points kind of communicates. Historically, it's also kind of come along with major rallies in both the crypto and traditional finance markets. 50 basis points, on the other hand, which is picking up some steam as of late, would be detrimental to the markets because it would communicate a little bit of concern and fear that potentially we had rates way too high for way too long and a recession is coming, right? So right now we're waiting to find out tomorrow, will it be 25 or will it be 50? And although last week, every single data point that we had seen when it comes to CPI, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to unemployment, when it comes even to the PPI numbers that weren't favorable, they still weren't so bad that 50 basis points was absolutely necessary. And it looked like 25 basis point cut was all but a sure thing and should have been bullish. Well, can't ever be that easy. The markets are never that easy. And then we had to pump FUD in over the weekend. What is that FUD we're kind of looking at? Well, it's things like this, where the CME futures tool is predicting a 65% probability of 50 basis points versus only 35% is predicting that we'll get 25. When you flip over to poly markets, while it's a lot closer, you got to remember last week it was sitting at almost an 80% probability of 25 basis points with a 20% probability of 50, and that is now flipped to where 50 basis points is now the leading predictor on poly market. This, of course, is because of things like JP Morgan coming out and saying that we're going to have a 50 basis point cut. JP Morgan is historically known for lying to everybody, but yet people seem to be buying this lie and thinking, well, if JP Morgan suggests that we have to have 50 basis points, that must be it, right? Well, that's not all. We also have one of our senators, Senator Elizabeth Warren, calling for and trying to push the Fed into a 75 basis point cut. So forget the 50. We got to go really extreme and go 75. Her reason for this, I think she thinks it'll save the markets. What she doesn't know, or she's at least not saying that, is historically, when you make cuts of this severity, it scares the markets and ends up crashing them. I don't think that's what she wants. That would not help her whatsoever. But this is now adding in here, scaring people into thinking we're in a lot worse spot than we actually are. Continuing on, moving away from that kind of information, we'll go into some recent FUD from Justin Sun blasting Coinbase and saying that what they're doing will launch a dark day for Bitcoin. He's pretty much accusing them of hiding their details and their funds away from the people. We talked all about this yesterday in our live show, so I'm not going to go into detail. Go back and watch this, but ultimately, it's just a lot more FUD trying to confuse people. And the last thing I'll put on here is anyone who listens to him, Jim Kramer has said that he is still bearish on Bitcoin at the moment. I put all of this into a nice, short, sweet tweet last night. This is my checklist. JP Morgan predicts 50 basis points. Elizabeth Warren calls for 75 basis point cut. Coinbase FUD is circulating. Jim Kramer is bullish. These are 4 fantastic reasons to be bullish on crypto at the moment. This is something I have seen way, way, way too often and is a perfect playbook for a bear trap. What is a bear trap, you might be asking? It's where there's a lot of bearish pressure in the price action, convincing the average retail investor that they should be shorting or getting out of their positions for a much lower drop, only so that the whales and the institutions can go ahead and buy up those dips and make money themselves. If you don't believe me, this isn't a brand new theory. In fact, I'm not even the one that coined it. I'm not the one that created it. This is a theory taught by Richard Wyckoff, and it was developed back in 1929. But he has a quote here I want to read for you, and I'll break it down a little more detail. But he said, all the fluctuations in the market and in the various stocks should be studied as if they were the result of one man's operations. Let us call him the Composite Man. Some of you guys have heard that before. There you go. There it is again. Who, in theory, sits behind the scenes and manipulates the stocks to your disadvantage if you do not understand the game as he plays it, and to your great profit if you don't understand it. What is he talking about here? Well, the Composite Man theory, it's saying, as he said in this quote, you have to treat the markets like there's one entity behind the scenes who's manipulating the details back and forth so that you, the retail investor, lose money while they get to gain it. One of their strategies they use, and I'll explain who they are here in a second, but one of the strategies they use is they control the media and they tell you when to buy and when to sell. The only problem is a lot of their articles that come out that are extremely bearish, saying, ooh, get out of the markets right now, things are about to get worse. They a lot of times come out right at bottom positions, and vice versa. As soon as you get to a top position, they actually print articles saying, guys, it's time to buy. Go ahead and go all in. And then retail investor ends up buying the tops and selling the bottoms. Does that sound familiar? Is that a story that maybe resonates with you, a problem you've had? Well, that's why you have to learn to read the entire situation like the Composite Man, as Wyckoff puts it. And let's just think about some of the people that we bring into this fold. We're talking about the JP Morgans. We're talking about the BlackRocks. We're talking about the Fidelities. We're talking about these massive institutional figures who control the media, the mainstream media. They control the articles that go out. If that's shattering some glass for some of you guys, I apologize. But the news doesn't always tell the truth. In fact, a lot of times, especially when it comes to the financial markets, it is being utilized to manipulate you one way or the other. And in this case, with so many factors really leaning bullish right now, but all of the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and negativity being printed, these are reasons actually to be expecting that bear trap and to make a move to the upside. Now, I talked about the different figures here that have been negative on the crypto prices. We talked about JP Morgan, again, known for lying to their people. Elizabeth Warren, known for making terrible policy decisions. Jim Kramer, who's infamous for calling the exact opposite of where markets are going, and of course, FUD coming out, or misinformation coming out about one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, Coinbase. But let's take a look at something that, even though this is still a part of the Composite Man, I've been tracking and telling all the bros in the community, BlackRock actually has not missed. Is BlackRock a part of the Composite Man? Absolutely. Do they control news media? Absolutely, they do. But it's actually been kind of interesting that BlackRock, when they've made calls, when they've made predictions, they have not been missing. In fact, when they're bullish, price goes up. When they're bearish, price goes down. When they say something's about to happen, it usually does. And what they're saying right now, Watchdog Guru is reporting, BlackRock says the Federal Reserve's interest rate cuts will not be as deep as the market expects. What does that mean? Well, again, I just showed you earlier, there's a lot of predictions right now that we will see 50 basis point cuts. Elizabeth Warren wants it to be 75 basis points, but people are predicting 50. Ultimately, BlackRock is coming out here and saying, no, that's actually not going to happen. The problem is they're BlackRock, right? Not a well-kept secret. Nobody really likes BlackRock. People don't trust BlackRock, and yet they own almost everything in the world at this point. They have their hand in every single pie. While JP Morgan still has a lot of interactions with consumers, while Elizabeth Warren still is a political figure, Jim Kramer is still the host of a very popular show. These all are people who more often than not lie to the people. BlackRock, nobody wants to listen to BlackRock in the first place, so they have no incentive to lie. In fact, it's almost like a Uno reverse move where everyone just expects the media to lie. So when BlackRock tells the truth, no one understands it's happening. But we've been tracking this. BlackRock has been on par with the truth. So when I see all this information come out, it communicates to me, I think we're still getting 25 basis points. I'm going to continue to be bullish. And this makes so much sense, as we talked about earlier, as to what the plan of this overall market is. They wanted to bring price back down, confusing and causing retail investors to sell, only to then spark that bear trap, only then to pull the price back to the upside. And if you take a look on the daily chart, again, we have been tracking this. We not only were in inverse head and shoulders pattern, we talked about in the show before, that should send price up here. We're making moves back up towards that $65,000 mark, the mark that will define when the bulls are back in control. When does that happen? Well, we still have to wait for Jerome Powell and the Fed to officially announce that we're only getting 25 basis point cut to instill some confidence into the markets. And that's something we will not get until tomorrow. But for right now, you guys should all be looking for positions to be able to invest in this market. Have your stop losses ready. If everything that I'm talking about in this video ends up being wrong, if we get 50 basis points and recession is actually coming, well, prices probably are going to be dropping closer towards $46,000, maybe even lower. After that, we will resume the bull run and we will continue to hit new all-time highs. But the question about if it's time to go up or down really does rest tomorrow with the Fed announcement coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to want to be here. We're going to be covering it, so don't miss any of that. But beware. This could very well be a bear trap that is confusing a lot of retail investors. With that said, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe, hit the follow. Make sure you don't miss any of our content because we are keeping you up to date every single day in the markets to make sure you are making the wisest decisions possible. With that said, I'll see you in the next video. Adios.